Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 27th of October, 2017. Let's take a walk down memory lane. This is a video that I did back in June. Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today's the 16th of July, 2017. And, okay, it was July, not June. It's a very rare occasion, but I'm showing you a page from Wikipedia. And I want to show you a phrase. This is a phrase I heard an awful lot down south and out west. It's called the carrot and the stick. And it's an idiom that refers to a policy of offering a combination of rewards and punishment. So the carrot is the reward, and if you don't go for the carrot, well, you end up getting the stick. And as you can see, the stick is shaped exactly like a baseball bat. So it's either you take the carrot and everything is fine because we're the ones offering the carrot, or we'll back it up with the stick. Well, why am I showing you this? Because I'm going to show you this. This is a new app launched by a private company in concert with the Canadian government. You are not going to believe this.
We know we're supposed to exercise.
Do you want to put the cilantro in the bowl, please?
Eat well, and get enough sleep.
Earning points is simple, easy, and fun.
Now the Carrot Rewards app is ready to give you something for every healthy effort you make.
Completing a quiz.
Points that you can use for groceries, movies, even flights.
It seems like a good idea, rewarding people for their good behavior.
So I'm going to stop it right there because most of you have probably already watched the video. If not, it's still up. It's from July, blah, blah, blah. It appears that China has done the same thing. In 2014, the State Council of China published an ominous-sounding document called Planning Outline for the Construction of a Social Credit System. Long story short, they're rating their citizens. Do you pay your taxes on time? Do you pay your bills on time? Do you talk about the government? Do you talk about conspiracies? Do you follow mainstream media? Basically, are you being a good New World Order citizen, or are you one of Richie from Boston's followers, or the like? Now, people always instantly go back to, well, it's China, it's communist. Well, why do you think China owns more of the United States than you or I do? This is coming. Listen to James Corbett right here.
Data meets Big Brother as China moves to rate its citizens. Now, the story is a long read, as they call it, coming from the UK version of Wired magazine, which begins, if you don't know the story, on June 14, 2014, the State Council of China published an ominous-sounding document called Planning Outline for the Construction of a Social Credit System. In the way of Chinese policy documents, it was a lengthy and rather dry affair, but it contained a radical idea. What if there was a national trust score that rated the kind of citizen you were? Imagine a world where many of your daily activities were constantly monitored and evaluated, what you buy at the shops and online, where you were at any given time, who your friends are and how you interact with them, how many hours you spend watching content or playing video games, and what bills and taxes you pay, or not. It's not hard to picture because most of that already happens thanks to those data collecting behemoths like the Gulag and Fedbook and Instagram and health tracking apps like Fitbit. But now imagine a system where all these behaviors are rated as either positive or negative and distilled into a single number according to rules set by the government. That would create your citizen score, and it would tell everyone whether or not you were trustworthy. Plus, your rating would be publicly ranked against that of the entire population and used to determine your eligibility for a mortgage or a job and where your kids can go to school. Your kid, it's China, can go to school, or even just your chances of getting a date. A futuristic version of Big Brother out of control? Question mark? No, it's already underway in China, where the government is developing the Social Credit System, SCS, to rate the trustworthiness of its 1.3 billion citizens. For now, technically, participating in China's citizen scores is voluntary, but of course by 2020 it will be mandatory.
Now, most of you already understand that China, the United States, Russia, France, Italy, they're not separate countries with their own separate ways of thinking and doing things. They are all under the pyramid, all of them. And debating who's at the very, very top or who's in the middle, none of that makes any difference because the New World Order is making their moves. China is basically a testing ground for what they can do to people using social engineering. Israel is basically a testing ground on how to control crowds and how to best use martial law most effectively. That's what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. That's the brute force. That's the stick end of it. China is basically the carrot because these people are all falling for it. But listen to what James Corbett has to say about this, because it's something that I've been saying all along. Silence has been consent.
It is because it is technologically feasible now. It is because the technocracy is possible. The idea of technocracy, as I pointed out in 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗀 Conquered the World, has been around for a century or so now. But it always relied on this idea that there could be total 24/7 surveillance of every transaction that's taking place in the economy. Well, this goes even further than that. Not only can they track absolutely every purchase that's taking place as it's happening and assign it to you directly because you're using your bank card or your credit card or whatever other type of electronic identification, essentially, but they can also track who you're interacting with, where you're going, what types of things you're saying about the government. Every single thing that you are saying and doing is now being tracked and logged and databased. So they are now going ahead with what they've always wanted to do, which is to make it into a system whereby you are assigned points if you are good for the government, and if you are not good for the government, you are docked points, and if you get below a certain threshold, there will be ways of dealing with you. And at first, those ways of dealing with you may not be so harsh, but in the future nightmare scenario, would it be difficult to imagine how this power will be used by the worst people in society, the kakistocracy, to eliminate you from the gene pool, one way or another, because you are not a good citizen? I cannot state this seriously enough. We are at the point, as humanity, we are at the crossroads. Either we will become a free society of free human beings who will freely interact with each other, or we will live out Orwell's nightmare of the boot stamping on the human face forever. There's no going back on this. There's no do-over on this. If we make the wrong choices right now with regards to these programs that are coming into view, then it's gone. It's over. Goodbye, even the idea of human freedom. We will be nothing more than robots. So, and for people who think, oh, this is just China, of course, they're the dictatorship. I mean, they don't even pretend to pay lip service to the idea of human rights. Fair enough, that's true. But don't think it's not coming for you. As I followed up earlier this year with an article, it begins, Canadian government rolls out points to reward good citizens, talking about the Carrot app. But don't worry, it's for good things like, jogging and being healthy and taking your flu vaccine shots and all of that. So it is happening. It is already happening. And we are making the decisions whether we're going to go along with this or whether we're going to refuse these types of good citizen points. And trust me, this is the game for all the marbles, because if we make the wrong choice, it's over.
Now, I must have watched that video 5 times last night and then a couple of times more this morning, because he's absolutely right. This is why all of this is happening. This is why Saudi Arabia is the first country to grant citizenship to a robot, which is just absolutely ludicrous. This is why all of these social engineering projects are going on right now. This is why. Once it swaps over to where everyone's being monitored every time, where people's actions are being gauged. If you don't pay your bills, well, they'll just make you pay your bills. And if you have no way to pay your bills, well, then you'll just end up being this guy over here with no credit score or whatever it's called. They've already done it on a smaller scale. They're looking to do it on a larger scale. And most of us never had any input into it. And then those of us that did wake up and see what was going on, well, again, I can't stress it enough. It's not just a T-shirt campaign. Silence is consent. This hashtag should be everywhere right now, because they need to know. We need to use their own platforms to let them know that we do not consent. And that's all there is to it. That's just all there is to it. I don't know what else to say. Do you see what I'm saying? This is literally happening. And like James just said, once this goes into effect, there's no going back. There's no turning the ship around after everybody is wired up to the system. Why do you think every single road has electronic toll takers on it now? Because that's all part of the control grid. You will not be able to leave or enter a city or state without your electronic papers, please. That's the direction these guys are going. They're already testing it. It's already up and running. This is why you're seeing ads everywhere. Johnson & Johnson, a company that makes baby powder that causes cancer and shampoo, is now pushing AI for everyone. MIT, the same guys that are pushing Darwinism. Evolution is a fraud. Darwin was a fraud. And yet, right here in Boston, you can walk by one of MIT's buildings and see Darwin's name carved in there for future generations to see. They simply take their theories, they take their agendas, they carve them on buildings, they put them in books, and they make it the history. What history are we going to leave behind? Unfortunately and sadly, most of us are the result of the baby boomer generation. Your parents, my parents were baby boomers. They were the first generation after the greatest generation, which were my grandparents. This is our last stand. This is happening whether we complain about it, talk about it, make videos or not. But we need to take it off of the social realm and bring it into physicality. And I know. You're just trying to sell. Well, yeah, really? You think after all this time that I'd still be on here yelling, yammering, complaining, and taking all the abuse, the censorship, copyright strikes, and every other thing because I didn't care? Time is up, man. Time is up. We need to stand. Or don't. Richie from Boston. Like, share, subscribe. Links will be in the description. I am out.